Hey everybody, I am AR and what I watched today is Book 3, Chapter 13 of Avatar The Last Airbender, The Firebending Masters. As we start the episode, Zuko is having some trouble getting his firebending up, so to speak, producing little to no flame. And when Zuko admits to the group that he's got a problem, Katara responds with venom, mocking him for it. Which, I completely understand. She's still understandably pissed with him. And it's going to take a while for that to go away. After the round of Let's Bash Zuko calms down, they start to come on to the source of his problem. The fire he used to use in his bending came from his inner rage, his anger and hate. And he's let that go now. He doesn't have any more, so now he needs to find a new source, the true source of firebending. And that's what Toph suggests. They finds the original source. How did it come from the animal that it's connected to? She tells a story about how she ran away as a child and she met the badger moles. She learned her bending originally from them, not as a way to fight, but as an extension of her senses. The original airbending animals were the sky bisons, and again, they were the airbenders watched them and learned from them, learned how to imitate them. It wasn't started as a way to fight. Appa has used it as a defense mechanism sometimes, but that's not its essence. Zuko has a problem, though. The original firebenders were the dragons, and those have been hunted to extinction. Zuko, however, does come up with a plan. Going to the ruins of some of the original firebenders, the Sun Warriors, and he see if they can find any secrets there. I get why everyone's mad at Zuko at this point. He chased them for years, he's been an asshole. But I'm kind of getting annoyed by Sokka's constant jokes and attitude. Katara's anger I get. But Sokka is just constantly making dickish jokes, making light of the situation, and being completely unhelpful. If he was being rude or mean like Katara, I could get, and I know his personality is different from Katara's, but it just feels like he's not just not trying to help, but trying to actively be an obstacle. Which really, dude, I get you hate Zuko, but at least Katara seems to realize that, aside from her hate, Zuko is necessary to the plan to go forward. And she's actually trying to be helpful with some of what she's saying. But, dude, just lay off. Anyhow, that rubbed me really the wrong way. And the rest of the episode is just Aang and Zuko until the very end. So, they head to the old ruins, and these ruins have a very, Mayan architecture vibe to them. It's really awesome. Inside the ruined city, they find traps still working. And, they're kind of like, wow, these things are working after all these years? Spoiler alert, we find out later that, no, there are still people living here. But that's kind of an old trope from a lot of these shows and a lot of movies. The ancient temples where everything is somehow still working 1,000 years later. But still, it is kind of cool, especially because Aang avoids it with his airbending, and Zuko does a Prince of Persia style wall run. And it's a good visual, and Zuko seems to be having some fun avoiding the trap. As we journey to the ruins, we find out from Zuko what happened to the dragons over the last 100 years. They were hunted to extinction by firebenders looking to prove that they were the strongest. That they were stronger than the dragons and could conquer them. They find another door sealed by a sunstone that only opens on the solstice. So Aang's like, what? We don't have time to wait for the solstice again. And Zuko's like, no, check this out. Uses his sword, reflects the light onto the sunstone, and tricks the door into opening. Inside, they find a series of statues, and then, Aang hits upon, well, if we imitate the statues and do the dance that they're showing, maybe it will activate whatever mechanism is in the floor here. So he manages to talk Zuko into it, and the dance looks to me a lot like the fusion dance from Dragon Ball Z, especially the pose at the end. But, I know it's not exactly the same thing, but it did kind of give me that flashback. And after doing it, they open the lock and reveal a golden egg. Zuko, forgetting the trap from earlier, just takes the egg and instantly sets off another trap. They get stuck in this odd glue substance and trapped up against a grate. Surprisingly enough, they are rescued from the glue by actual living, breathing sun warriors, who have remained secret for all of these years. Zuko gives a pretty good speech pleading to them, saying, please, teach us. Teach us the true essence of firebending, not the hate and anger-filled perversion that the Fire Nation practices. What's really cool about this scene is that they're being cleaned off from this glue by these, little anteater-like creatures, and they're kind of cute. But really the best part is Zuko's speech, him humbling himself before these other people. No hesitation, no anger at having to do it. Just putting aside his pride and going, I have been wrong all of my life. Please, teach me. Show me the truth so that I can help restore balance to the world. And I really like this development for Zuko. I mean, it gives us a new side to him, and that is just beautiful. They are told that they will be judged by the masters, Ran and Char, and if they are deemed worthy, then they will be taught the secret. If they are unworthy, they will be destroyed, consumed by flame. They are told that they must approach the masters, each carrying a piece of the sacred first flame. And they're already being taught some of the philosophy of firebending again. Let the flame grow too small, and it will go out. But let it go too big, and you will lose control. You must retain a constant heat. Which is basically what happened to Aang before. He let the flame grow too much. And he lost control of it and caused destruction. But if you nurture the flame, keep it at the correct temperature, and basically know your limits, it is warmth and life. It is when it grows out of control, when you allow it to rage, or when you put your own rage into it and push it beyond the limit, that it burns, that it destroys and brings death and destruction. It is like everything, there has to be a balance. They don't address it in the series, but waterbending is the same way. If you are gentle and fluid with the water, if you respect it and use it properly, it can give life, it can heal, it can defend you. But if you aren't careful, it could just as easily turn on you. If you aren't respectful, in a way, it could hurt you as well. We haven't seen that many examples of it in the series, but it's easy to see how it could be done. If you misuse earthbending, you could cause a cave-in on yourself and trap yourself, or worse. Every element has its flip side. With airbending, if you're not careful or respectful, there is a chance that you could fall from the sky. Every bending, if you misuse it, can cause you great harm. But if you use it properly and maintain the proper respect and control, it can bring such great life. And really, yeah, that's what this series is about. Balance, maintaining the balance. So, beautiful lesson there, and I'm really glad that they just worked it into the fabric of the episode. Aang, despite his fear, finds the flame warm and welcoming. And that was a big like you can see in his face, that's a big moment for him. He was so afraid after he burned Katara, but then this flame is put in his hands and he realizes that, it's nice. It feels like a little heartbeat. They manage to reach the summit, and they are warned they'll be judged for the sins of the past, for the loss of the dragons. Zuko because it's his ancestors that hunted the dragons, and Aang because his disappearance is part of what allowed the Fire Nation to run rampant like they did. Aang loses his fire and subsequently causes Zuko to lose his. But it's at this moment they meet the Masters, the last two living dragons. As the dragons swirl around the two, they do the dance from the altar, Aang saying, they have to try something. And it is a beautiful scene as the steps of the dance match up with the movements of the dragons. Judgment comes in this amazing, multicolored tornado of fire around Zuko and Aang. And you can see in their eyes that this has given them a greater understanding. Moments later, we're told, that their understanding just came from seeing the true essence of fire. How it is more than just rage, how it is life and warmth, the warmth of the sun inside you. Sun warriors. Get it? And we find out another little awesome thing about Iroh. He lied about slaying the last dragon to protect the 2 dragons left here, and prevent anyone else from hunting them ever again. Bravo! Iroh is a freaking amazing character still, and he's not even in the show currently, so bravo. Bravo. That is pretty awesome. Zuko has gotten his fire back, and Aang once more has the confidence to let his out. But now he understands it better. He understands how to control it better. And that is so important. The Sun Warriors chieftain even states in a funny joke now that since they know about the tribe, they have to be imprisoned forever to maintain their secrets. Just kidding. And I love the look on Aang and Zuko's faces as he's saying that. They're like, what? But we just... Oh, you're kidding. The episode does end with them showing the dragon dance to the rest of the group. And it's funny, so at first, like, Zuko looks like he's really angry at being laughed at for this. But in the end, he seems to accept it. Like, yeah, the dance is a little silly, even if it is an ancient firebending art. And that also shows some good character development for him. That he's a little less serious and that he's not going to flip out just because people are laughing at him. I mean, they're not doing it out of malice. They're just sort of going, yeah, it looks a little silly. And he's like, okay, yeah, I can sort of see that. So anyway, that was episode 13. Bow ties are most definitely cool. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.